On this week's Eye of Power podcast, it's a little different. You're going to get to meet the team behind the Mentor Machine, which is a new product, new company that's being formed and being introduced now. And you've met the team so far individually, but you haven't had us all together. So we're going to talk a little bit about what brought us here and what got us to this point and where we're hoping to go from here. And I hope it's interesting to you. It's certainly interesting to us. And I think it's a great conversation. So you're going to get to know Vivek Nigam and Greg Dardick a little bit better. So without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome, Vivek and Greg, to the show. Welcome to the Eye of Power podcast. I'm your host, Tom Dardick. But this podcast is not about me. It's about you and your power. It's time to claim yours. So, Greg and Vivek, thank you so much for taking some time out today and joining me on the Eye of Power podcast. Both of you have been guests before, but we've never done it, the three of us. So I'm looking forward to this discussion. So thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just to let the audience know why we would want to get together as three is right now is sort of the beginning of a new chapter in all of our lives. We're forming a new company together centered around the Mentor Machine, which you can see on all of our screens. So you're looking right now at the current executive team of the Mentor Machine. And so we want to talk a little bit about what's brought us to this place and where we're going, and do so in Eye of Power style, which means that we're talking about our agency, what we individually want and what we want to make difference in the world, and what we think our unique talents and gifts are, and how we think that we can use this vehicle as a way to deliver those to as many people as we possibly can, to fully express the unique individuals the three of us are, so that everybody else we encounter can do the same. So you guys up for that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
let me start with a little bit of background. Greg and I are brothers, hence we share the same last name, Greg Dardick, Tom Dardick. Vivek, Greg, and I are brothers from other mothers, but we are not related.
Yep.
And Greg actually has a little bit of a relationship that goes a little further back with Vivek than I do. So would you guys like to maybe start where you met and what kind of tracks you were on professionally and how your relationship got to be, and why it came together and why it's flourishing now?
Sure, absolutely. So we met, how many years ago has it been now? Like, probably too
I don't
many
know.
for us to remember, but it's been a while.
Yeah, there's a
Um,
lot of gray hair. I don't remember the year, but yeah, it's
and,
at least 10, 15 years. Yeah. Yeah.
and we were working for the Hartford, and I was managing software development groups, and Vivek was an architect that was working with my area, and we just had such a great partnership, and found somebody who could really challenge, challenge my teams, challenge conventional thinking about things, and really work together. And we really had a way of trying to get the most out of the people that we worked with,
Yep.
and we always had challenges of those, like any organization. You always have
That's for sure.
difficult challenges when you're trying to make change or do things. And we just had a great partnership, and always felt like we had similar tracks in life,
Mhm.
and kind of looked at the world very similarly. And we're able to really form a great partnership.
Vivek, how
Yeah.
about your view on it?
Yeah. I'll echo that. When I met Greg, it was pretty instant after the first conversation that here's someone who has the same energy, the same vibe, the same kind of direction that I had as well, and that was actually very refreshing. Anybody who's worked in corporate America, you know that can be very challenging, very difficult to find, and sometimes really has to be built, right? So yeah, just echoing 100% the care for the teams, the appreciation to try to get the best out of everybody on the team. That was something very much in common. And then, yeah, Greg and I spent a lot of time together, and really made a lot of sense. When I spun off and started to do something else, we had lunch one day, and as typical it would have, we would be like, wait a minute, you're working on this, I'm working on this, let's do this together, right? So that's kind of the genesis of how we got here. Yeah.
That's awesome. The things that I took away from there are, you had that sort of compatibility. And I think most people, if they're fortunate, have had that experience where you sort of meet that kindred spirit, you meet somebody, there's a connection that drives maybe a little bit further down than just the surface level, and you just feel that connection right off the bat. And I love
Yep.
it when that happens. That's fantastic. Uh, and
And
go ahead.
kind of funny story, just on that energy and the vibe, and you talk about university bringing everything together. Greg, I don't know if you remember, I think he and I were both doing our upgrading our kitchens at the same time,
That's
and just
right.
oh, my wife and I are shopping for countertops, and we're walking through this big thing of stone, and I'm like, "Hi, Greg," and he's here with at the same place doing the
So
same
you
thing.
ran into
So
each other.
Yeah.
that was pretty funny.
That
So
is pretty funny. Wow, that's pretty
yeah,
amazing. But the thing that you said, two things, both you guys sort of hit on this. Two things that I want to highlight. Um, Greg, you said challenge conventional thinking, and you also said work with people. And Vivek, you echoed get the best out of people or get the best for people. So those are two things that I want to hear a little bit more about.
Yeah,
And
that's great.
also what you were thinking about back then, as well as what you're looking at our style of
sure.
leadership going forward.
Yeah. So conventional thinking, especially in the Hartford, as architects and other things, we really had a lot of constraints about how they tie your hands to what to look at to move forward and kind of look up. And so a lot of the times getting ideas through could be difficult and to push. And we really needed support on both the architecture side and a business side to put things through. And so I would say that some of the themes in there was, listen, our ideas have to get through our people. We need to generate ideas from our people. We need to be able to empower them for those things. And a lot of times those fall on deaf ears and upper management. Upper management has their views of what they want to do. They have things that they need to get done from that perspective. And so Vivek and I were very much more about empowering and looking and trying to get the best out of our people from that perspective, as well as make good decisions. I mean, this is not about a qualitative issue about decision making. This is about getting and unleashing, the power of our teams.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. My mission for many years has been to try to get people who are quieter, right? And being in a technical world, you see that quite a bit. People who want to turn the lights down and just be in front of their computer and do what they need to do. But these people, you have to understand, are highly intelligent. They believe in value, and when they're heard, they provide immense value, right? So how do you get the people who maybe not most comfortable in a group setting? How do you get them to speak? How do you get them to express what it is about them? What is their thought? What is their idea? Maybe they've got a thought here that says, something that we haven't seen. And that's been a mission of mine for quite some time. And when you're working in technical environments, it's very easy to find someone who kind of fades into the woodwork, right? And then you do your stand-ups, they say they're 5 seconds, so yeah, I'm good, okay, and then try to get back to the desk. When you spend the time and really try to talk to the people, you see the great value that the team can do together. So really that for me was a big mission, managing my team and then working with Greg's team back in the corporate days. We would say that all over the place. So really spending the time to get those people to speak up. And that continues to be a big mission of mine. So
I can tell because things like when we're talking about, oh, when we're, communicating about the mentor machine, things like, helping people become the fullest expression of themselves.
yeah,
I remember when I first said that, you were really like, man, that's it right there.
I loved
That
it.
really resonated with you. And
Yeah,
and if you think about it, that is sort of the central mission for all of us, really. And then that can look in, all the different ways it can look, but it's we know it's central because when we're doing it, it feels great. And when it's squashed, it feels horrible, right?
yeah,
So that's your evidence right there. That's my scientific analysis of why that's an important thing.
for sure.
Definitely in the technical fields, as you said, Vivek, we have there's a lot of different types of styles that people have, right? And on the technical side, a lot of introverts, a lot of people who want to sit and really get into detailed thought by themselves and focus down. Um,
Hmm.
and that can be a challenge when you're working with other teams and other things. You have to collaborate, you have to do things and look at those, and getting those right ideas to the table are difficult. And you also have very strong opinionated people. You're dealing with complex problems. People have experiences they've done in the past. They have ways that they want to do. You have to navigate all of that stuff and find room for people to thrive and grow and ultimately solve a problem, right? We're here working for a business.
Right.
The business has a mission. They're serving their customers and their purpose. And it's about finding that alignment along the way, to unleash those things in our teams.
Yeah,
It's funny. These are
in
memes. These are memes and stories, right? In movies. For some reason, the character of Edna in The Incredibles popped into my.
Yeah, exactly.
in the mode, she's the best, absolutely the best. I
But
never looked
but
at.
but these are for real, right? I mean, people have their thing, they have their genius, but especially if it's something that's very specific and very
Yeah.
sort of quirky and eccentric, they might have that difficult time. And I've talked about it. Greg and I, we had the pleasure of seeing our youngest brother Chris in action. He's a scientist, and we were on a brothers trip together, and we got the chance. He was presenting some of his work at the USDA. He was presenting to a group at NASA. And so we snuck in. We go in. We're dressed like tourists, and a bunch of scientists and interns are in there. And we knew our brother. Obviously, we know our brother Chris. We know who he is. We know how smart he is. We know all these good things about him. But it's different when you see somebody in action in their element,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we got to see that firsthand. And what I took away from that experience so strongly that I'm talking about it now is that here was what his superpower is phenomenally brilliant on the science side, but he could explain it to both the PhDs and the senior scientists as well as the interns, and everybody's getting it and they're with him in a way that is totally like it's amazing. So the work they're doing, but he not any sort of level of ego or braggadociousness. It's just very perfectly put. And that kind of being able to have that technical and the people side both is a super strong combination. So why
Absolutely.
I say all that is I want to go in a new direction here, which is combinations of things, right?
Mhm.
Because if you have somebody who's just great at one thing, okay, that might be useful. But if they can get a second thing and add it, now we've got a unique sort of combination that can be super, super powerful, especially if you can do like the technical and the people. That's a classic. But just in general, for people listening to us, anybody who has like multiple interests or multiple passions. We talked a lot about this a few weeks back when I was interviewing Paul Kirby, who is an artist who uses his robotics. It built Dulcinea, this robot, to actually paint with. And so, how
Hmm.
many people can take those two things and put them together? But he has a template for anybody. So I think that's something that's worth highlighting.
Yeah,
Thoughts?
most definitely. Yeah, and kind of a corollary to that, like in the software world, one of the most powerful tools in the software world is a second pair of eyes, right?
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
Just sometimes you're struggling with something, someone looks over your shoulder, he says, "Hey, why'd you do that?" And you're like, "Where were you 2 hours ago?" Right? And right. So, but that ability to be able to go and say, right, to your point, Tom, about having these multiple disciplines, sometimes you get that by experiencing other people, right? So and other thoughts, and you need to learn and say, "Hey, I want to be able to do that." So now you can build that skill and go do that. The people who can be multidisciplinary, people who have a creative side and a scientific side, and you can kind of bring those things together. There's usually some really good magic there. And in the AI world, we're starting to see that all really blend in too. So,
Yeah. I think about it this way too, Tom, it used to be not that long ago, an educated person can know most of what human knowledge was, right? Or at least have a grasp of the fields of those things. In the last 5 years, you think about how much knowledge is, but you can't possibly know everything on all these
yeah.
disciplines and all these things that are out there. But the opportunity is even bigger because we're finding so much doing those things that people can bring and kind of net these things together and all these ideas together in new ways have huge opportunities, to look at those. So it's building skills, not only knowledge skills. You think about AI and the tools that we have to bring to put some of these things together, but it's also we don't do anything without each other. And so
Yeah.
it's about melding these skills together. And the thing that you said about personal and those things is when you're building a technical skill and a personal skill, or it's not any technical, it can also be other knowledge skills along with a person thing. That's what makes it effective because we have to really work together to achieve and do those things. And that's where we get harmony. That's where we get, one of the things I know you preach a lot is coming from a loving soul, right? Where we're helping each other, and kind of working through those things. And so I think about the amount of things you can bring together and what new skills you can acquire and put together is just a rich field of that just keeps on opening up.
Well, this is a really good segue into maybe the present where we're now coming together as a team. We've been working together for, well, coming up close to a year. It's going to be soon. Pretty, so we didn't just start, but
Right.
but we definitely we've got sort of a new leaf, a new day happening recently, and the birth of the mentor machine is I think going to be a milestone in all of our lives.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it'll be true for a lot of other people as well. So I want to talk about that sort of harmony of coming together, those combinations, a little bit about, and maybe we can sort of pat each other on the back a little, so you don't have to brag. So Greg, you've known Vivek a long time. You mentioned a couple of things that you appreciate about him. What are some of the things that you are looking forward to experiencing and seeing as we go forward in partnership, seeing more of as far as his contributions and the fullest
Yeah.
express of him? I'm just curious as to what your view of that is, as now that we are on a team together here.
Yeah. Oh, what a great question. Well, I think Vivek brings a lot of things to the table. Vivek is a visionary. He's very good at taking ideas and inspiring, looking and pushing stuff forward. And he's very good at not looking at the obstacles that are in our way. You can put the things that are out there, but sticking to the purpose of what we're trying to do and tear those things away and push forward on those things. And I think he has very great skill in that. Has an excellent mind. He's very good at analyzing and looking at problems and finding, like I said, a little more creative solutions and ways to look at those things. He'll always bring a people perspective in what we're doing and things that are going on. I think that's a fantastic skill in what we're looking at. And you look at our mission of what we're doing. I mean, just couldn't have better alignment. And so I look at the things that he brings to the table. I see it as one of not only somebody who's pushing forward on our technical capabilities that we're out there, but the heart and spirit of what we're doing as a company. And I think he really embodies that. And I'm really excited to be a partner with him.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
that
awesome. Thank you.
well, it's nice to get a compliment every now and again, right?
For sure.
You're you're
Well,
you're at
recognition.
the top of, you're the CEO of your company, and you probably don't have everybody heaping praise on you. That doesn't happen too
That's
often.
that's right. Yeah.
But
Yeah, definitely.
the thing about that is, you do have those two pedals of the bike, because that advocacy for the unheard and the unseen spirit that
Hmm.
you have, coupled with that technical and big picture orientation. I think that uniquely aligns you to be a monster contributor in the mission that we have, which is really to, we've talked about this before, but we're sort of coining a new term, and we're calling it Alvea.
Mm,
And
love it.
our new term of Alvea is the kind of fulfillment that comes from getting your unique talents together, developing them, and then putting them to best use in the world in the service of other people. And that Alvea is that sort of fulfillment you get when this starts to happen and you're seen and heard and appreciated and felt. And so we want more Alvea in the world. We think that's the currency of the future. And so the mentor machine is a machine designed to create certified mentors who create certified mentors all around the production of Alvea in individuals. So, all right.
Okay.
So we heaped some praise on Vivek there. I could probably go a long time on Greg, one of my favorite people in the world, but I'm going to let Vivek, you sort of heap some praise on Greg a little bit.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to have me talk about you, and then we go in a circle. But
You
I
can if you want. You can if you want,
tell you what, give me an opportunity to talk about working with both of you. And
okay, let's do that.
yeah, let me start with Greg, and then Tom, I'll transition to you because I'm just overjoyed working with you guys. And just the complementary nature of what we do and the conversations that we have. You can feel the energy when we have a conversation. We talk about people, we talk about fulfillment, and it just starts with yes, yes, and yes, and yes, yes, and that's such a wonderful, positive place to be, where it's not that we agree on everything. It's that we understand where you're coming from. Have you considered this? Let's consider this. Let's do this together. And I think all three of us are very heavy learning mentalities. So we learn, we're growing. You know, my time with Greg, the thing, other than his technology prowess and understanding, fortunately, understanding the things that I say sometimes, which is pretty amazing in itself. Just organization and being able to say, okay, yes, but let's cut through all of this and pinpoint this is the thing we need to do. And that's something that's not easy, right? Especially when you've got so many things to do. And Greg brings that for me personally, brings that to me all the time, right? So when we have our discussions and we start going into a circle, and Greg says, nope, let's point right back to this, and we can keep ourselves moving, and that's a really important skill. Um, he talks about vision, and Greg and I've had all these deep conversations about where does this go, whether it's technology, whether it's people, whether it's the growth of the organization, whether it's a long-term vision. All those things, I mean, I think has just been an absolute joy working together. Tom, when I talk to you, just your wealth of experience with people, with organizations, the depth of your writing. I mean, every time that we have a conversation, I feel like I've learned something new. Just the thought about saying, coming up with the term Alvea. I mean, I just think this is just absolutely amazing, and just the way that I'd like to be able to think, the way I'd like to be able to grow, and from both of you, like I learn something on a daily basis. I get inspired by how both of you operate on a daily basis, and yeah, just looking to continue to grow. It is fulfilling in itself. It is energizing in itself. So yeah, I mean that's how I feel when I work with you guys. So looking forward to so much more of that, and hopefully we can bring that to other people as well.
Well, I got to say, this is my favorite interview I've ever had in my whole life.
I
No,
love it.
no, uh, no, I'm sitting here thinking, and we obviously all do appreciate each other, and we're excited to have such a great team. And I'm going to throw a little bit of sunshine to Greg now, because when I'll just say, I have three brothers. I'm the eldest of four boys. We're all close. We all love each other, and it's been a harmonious sort of family dynamic. Other than the squabbles when we were little, but other than that, it's been absolutely wonderful. I've had the opportunity to work in business with my brother Scott in a couple of different ventures. I wrote a novel with my brother Chris. And Greg and I have been in bands together and so forth, but we've never really had the chance to work together until this last year. And I was up there as almost a year ago, exactly right around exactly a year ago, where I was showing him some of my ideas about the Eye of Power, and his time with Hartford was coming to an end. He's like, I want in. I'm in. I'm like, what do you mean you're in? He's like, no, I want to. This is a mission I can get on. And I was walking on air for months, literally, Vivek. I mean, just because I know who Greg is, and I'm going to start crying because, my feelings for him are, he's one of the best people I've ever encountered in my life, and I
I
just
would
happen
agree
to be
with
brothers with him, and so.
that.
And what do I mean by best? I'm going to say, and I'll share this. This is pretty personal, but hey, we're getting real here. Um, Sometimes I'll call my son Colin. I'll say Greg, and other times I might want to say Colin to Greg. And the reason for that is because I have the same level of emotionality and the same kind of emotionality towards both of them, and for a similar reason. Both of them are people that have literally hearts of gold, that have no malice in them at all. Now, Greg, middle child is a little moody at times. It's not like you never have dark thoughts or negative feelings, but there's literally no malice. There's no harm to any other person or creature in your makeup. And my son Colin is like that too. So their souls remind me of each other in that way.
Very
So
interesting.
so I'm very, very happy to. I've always wanted to spend more time with Greg because we haven't lived in the same town in a long, long time, and uh, and so we're always missing each other, always wanting to be together. So to have this chance to work together is really a dream come true. Having said that, also it's not just the fact of the relationship; it's also the ability to contribute and the dynamic of the team. I've never really worked in big company. Both you guys have. I've worked
Mm.
with big companies, but it's different working from the outside as a consultant than it is knowing what the environment is, having to navigate the politics and what the currencies are and all of that kind of stuff that you know. And I'm venturing to say that most of our clientele are going to be in that same boat. So for you guys to bring that to the table, I think is huge, way beyond what I could personally do just myself. So I think that's a big thing. I also think, Greg, you've got that, like you were sort of praising Vivek for. I think you have that technical smarts side with the people side, both, that you've got both those pedals. So I think that's a pretty special thing as well. Um, so, all of those things together, I think it just makes us a really potentially great team.
Yeah, amazing.
And speak a little bit more back at you, Tom. Some of the things I'm really appreciative for and excited about what you're bringing to the table. A couple things. First of all, your knowledge depth across multiple disciplines around the nature of what it means to be human and the nature of people is impressive. You have a great economic understanding. You have a great philosophical understanding. You have a great psychological understanding. And you have a great practical experience in HR understanding in terms of the tools and processes around those. And thought leadership really at the table, as you said, really culminated in the eye of power for you in terms of a model that helps put this stuff together. But your ability to express and understand why those things are important and how to process together, is just amazing. And I'm
Thank you.
excited. As you can tell, all of us match up in alignment with where we're going in terms of purpose. But to have that engine behind the things that are going on is just super excited about. And excited for us. We've been talking about white papers and other things that we're putting out there, and really excited to become that thought leadership, and push that out there and propel us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it is exciting. Go ahead,
and
Vivek.
you've got to say, and he's such a great writer. It's just absolutely
Oh
amazing.
yeah, phenomenal, phenomenal.
Thank you
Yes,
so
that
much.
last white paper you wrote, I'm eating this up, and I have to read it a couple times, going through, and it's like, wait a minute, there's nuances here that are very important for us to capture. So, no, I really enjoy that. So just need to throw that in.
Well, thank you so much, guys. So let's, all right. So we went past, and now we're in current. Let's kind of dial up to the what's ahead, the road ahead, looking down to future. So we've got a few groups going. We're in the very, we're wearing diapers as the company isn't technically formed yet. We've got our kind of handshake deal. We're notioning around it, but it's being born as
Mhm.
we're speaking, really. But we do have the components of it. We have the reteam that has, that whole ecosystem is got some good real world, we know what that is and the kinds of things it does. We've had a few people go through some of the Eye of Power stuff, so we kind of know some of that. The mentor machine is really the next evolution of taking these pieces, a technological sort of platform to deliver better and more uh, equanimous, I should say, communication, and being able to level the playing field for people and get the problems that naturally crop up between different communication styles and behavior patterns, get them under control. That's sort of the reteam approach, and very successful doing that. The Eye of Power is that tool, that multi-tool that helps us see those things that either free us or stop us from making positive change. So we put the chocolate with the peanut butter and got a delicious combination.
Yeah.
But then we took it to another level because we started looking at what is needed in the world, right? What's the problem in the world? And we look around at organizations and we say, how many of them are really doing great? And
Mm.
so in our research, we found basically four types of organizations. We talk about this when we're sitting one-on-one with people. We say, what's your organization doing? And there's a little assessment. It's going to be on our upcoming website that people can take. But it's like, how are you really doing? Because it's probably different than what you think, first of all.
Mhm.
Second of all, it's probably not as good as what you'd hope. Because there's only about maybe 10% of organizations that are really what we could call truly thriving. All the others are merely surviving, struggling, or even suffering. And
Mhm.
so our mission is, let's change that. So the question is, what's the difference? Why are some thriving a small percentage thriving, while the bulk are somewhere less than that. And
Mhm.
of course, it's the vagaries of the market, the vagaries of human nature, all the kinds of things that drag us down, and the toxicity. I always say when I go into organizations, I say the first order of business is we got to stop peeing in the pool. Because people are doing that, they don't know any better. They don't know they're doing it. No one's, very few people do it on purpose. They're adding a toxic element because they don't know how not to, and they don't see the negative effects of what they think is helpful, but it really isn't. So that's just the state of the world out there. And so what changes it? What gets you from that yucky place to the awesome place?
Yeah.
And as we've looked at that, right, we've come up with the answer is it's really leadership, but it's a certain kind of leadership, right? So that's why we talk about mentoring. And the word mentor is thrown out there, uh, kind of willy-nilly, I'm going to say. People say, oh, I'm going to mentor this person, or this person was mentored by so and so, or and they sort of use it interchangeably with training or coaching, and we mean something different by mentoring, don't we? You guys want to talk a little bit about what we mean by mentoring and what you think of as when you think of a great mentor, and how that relates to leadership of an organization? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll start.
Oh, go ahead.
So go ahead, Greg. Hey, if you
No, no, I was just going to say a couple different things. I think at the heart of it to start is about really having a partner looking at you as an individual and helping you grow as
Mhm.
an individual, right? And so it's not dimensional in terms of expectation of relationship back to you per se. It is about really helping someone in their aspirations of becoming a better person and increasing their skills and their contributions to the world. And so the mentor machine, in the context that we see this, is about creating people who are unleashing the potential of your growth and finding your alignment and your skills in those things to be able to reach a new potential in harmony with those around you, such that you can build organizations that can really hit and hone in on their mission, and grow towards their mission. And so, to me, that aspect is slightly different than just maybe a coach who is, has a one specific thing they're trying to do, or a mentor that you're assigned to, who, looks at you after a little bit and, getting back what you're putting into it. I don't know,
Yeah,
Vivek, you can.
Well
yeah,
said.
I look at it as when I think of a coach, I'm thinking about somebody who's accomplished, who's teaching you what they know, right? Teaching you how the things are done, how they perceive how things are done. When I think about a mentor, I see that mentor sharpening you to be who you are and who you're meant to be, right? And so when I think that through, like it's everybody needs a mentor. Our goal in life is to be fulfilled, but also to be valued, recognized. We just went through an exercise recognizing each other, which, I mean, just watch our reactions. Um, how fulfilling is that? How wonderful is that just to hear someone say it? Sometimes it's just saying thank you. So those type of things, right? But how do you get a mentor, get someone who can mentor you to be the best version of yourself that you are ought to be, right? And so that's where I think there's a difference. And one of the key things that we see that's a gap in most organizations is the sustainability of this type of thing. It's very easy to have an exercise, feel really good, and then you walk away, and then you're back into the grind of life and work, and all those things go away. How do you keep those going? And that's something that I'm really excited about with the mentor machine, certifying mentors, people who can sustain, who can keep this going. And I think that in itself could be very powerful.
Yeah, I mean the idea of, because you touched on that pretty well with, in my field, I've been frustrated. I'm going to say I've been frustrated my whole career in this. Uh, and I used to very much resist the idea of being called a coach or a consultant, because I had a negative view of those professions, honestly. And my negative view was based on the fact that, first of all, I saw it as being cheap and easy. What I meant is, how easy is it to go in, look from afar, from an arm's length, see what's wrong, tell people what to do, and then you get to go home while they get to stew in the mess and they have to deal with it. Right? Like,
Yeah.
thanks a lot. And most of the time, what they tell them is stuff they already know. Or you can find the information itself is really not the valuable thing because uh, everyone knows. If you're, let's say you're battling with your weight, everyone pretty much knows what to do to drop pounds. It's not a mystery. So it's not the prescription that's the
Mm.
problem, right? and
Mhm.
and with so that's consulting and coaching, um, and then the things that they do prescribe and deliver have what you were just pointing to, Vivek, where it's like, okay, you do this one thing and you're super excited. If it's fantastic, you're just walking on air for
Right.
maybe 2 months. If it's
Yeah.
awesome, it's 2 months. But more often, it's going to be 2 weeks. And more often than not, it's going to be 2 days. And more often than that, it's going to be 2 hours. And then you're going to forget it. Right. So
Once
you
the
have this,
pressures of work come in, it's gone, right? Yeah.
yeah. And so you have this marginal effect. And so I think as leaders, people feel like it's this, okay, I know this isn't going to do much, but it's the best we know how. So we do that. And it
Yeah.
might be you hire an executive coach. And again, not all executive coaches don't deliver, or are useless and don't deliver value. That's not my point. Because they can function as another pair of eyes, another soul
Mm.
that's caring, that helps, that we all need. So I don't want to discount that function at all. But what I do want to say is that the current state of the art, in terms of if we're going to create leaders and we're going to move a culture systematically in a direction, the current state of the art is pretty pathetic, in my opinion, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say this, Tom. I mean, obviously there's great companies and they're great leaders. And there's great leaders in most organizations. I mean, you go look at a place, there's some pockets and things that are great out there.
Otherwise they're not successful enough to live.
Exactly, exactly.
Point.
And so, when you look at this that's out there, that's a difference in, these companies that are really great get a way of getting everybody on, going the same way in that culture. And there is a bit of that that has to be distributed, that that's not so centrally run for larger organizations to build that, but they all have tie together in some way, and the spirit of looking at that. um, and so, that's at the heart of what we're trying to do, is try to get teams together that really want, revel in that enjoyment of what they're doing and their mission of what they're aligning to.
They get
And
that shared mission, and they get also the personal mission of being seen and being appreciated, right?
exactly,
So you
exactly,
get those are the two things we really need, right? The shared and the personal.
Right.
exactly.
That's right.
And
And I
and
think,
so go ahead, Vivek.
yeah, I think sustainability is one of those things that it's so critically important that you don't get with the consultant coming in. Greg and I used to joke back in the old days in the software world, you deal with software patterns, and with consultants, we talked about them as the consultant decorator pattern. They'll come in, they'll say the same thing that you say, but when they say it, it sounds so much nicer. It looks so much prettier. And we used to call that the consultant decorator pattern. And it has value because people listen, right? But the thing is, sustainability is something that the organization has to build in and build forward on. So that to me continues to be a missing piece, right? So where you can have someone come in and tell you the great things, that's great. How do you get those great things to sustain throughout the organization when that consultant has moved on to the next very fabulous gig that they've got to
Right,
do? So.
right.
Right, and
And the
that is go ahead, Greg.
the other thing I was going to put on top of that is it's about building in resiliency, right?
Mhm.
Team, entropy happens, things fall apart, conditions change, market condition changes, information changes, the world changes, right? And so it's about our ability to grow around those things, work
Mm.
together through those things, and maximize those powers of the people, of the teams that are out there.
Yeah.
And that's ever changing, right? People come and go, dynamics change from those things. It's navigating this minefield of things that are out there. Um, and that's really what you're trying to teach people to grow and do, um, you know as part of their evolution.
It's almost as if there should be this sort of way that people could consistently and systematically communicate and help each other face the things they need to face, get a little bit more brave, a little move their comfort zone systematically outward over time in a way that's supportive with each other, in ways that are going to make a difference for them and for the collective mission. It's almost as though there should be something that does that.
Almost, huh?
Somebody should build something like that. Yeah,
Somebody needs to come out with something like that.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Where can I buy that?
Where can I buy that? Well, thementormachine.com's coming soon, right? It's going to be
That's
out
right.
soon.
Right.
That's right.
Coming to a
And yeah,
town near you.
and what we're doing does put together technology and process with people and process, right? And it's been a really nice combination with the work we've done so far, and also builds in some of that sustainability. So I think, yeah, I'm really excited about where this is going. So
Yeah, and th- the the process, because one of the things I often talk about, and we'll maybe start to wrap up and land this plane, but the thing that I think about a lot is how the world of work is shifting, and how AI and automation. I mean, we don't know what the rules are going to be. Forget 5 years and 5 and 10 years. I'm talking 5 months and 10 months.
yeah,
Things
closer
are
to the
changing so fast. It's really hard to get your bearings as to what's going to be the, and of course, it's not going to be this monolithic move. Pockets move here, others stay put, and it's going to be this sort of quilt work of change. But it's happening so fast, and people really don't know what's going on, and a lot of
yeah.
people are in have a lot of stress around what the future holds.
Mm.
Um, and then a lot of people are excited about what the future holds, and you can make a good case on either side. What do you guys see as it relates? And this will probably be like the sort of our last uh, line of inquiry. What do you see in the workplace, best you can tell, that leaders really need to keep top of mind aware as they try to build their companies ever more towards the state? If they're already thriving, to keep it thriving. If they're not thriving, to get to thriving and stay there. What do you guys think seeing down the road here? Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll start here. Change for any organization is difficult, right? And we are in a state of change, and that honestly, in my life, I haven't seen this pace of change ever before. Now, that's interesting because I had a company back in the internet days, but we still used to call it we used to refer to it as the internet, but it was still the wild, wild west back then in the mid 90s. And things were changing so rapidly at that time with the introduction of AI, the technology tools, social media, right? So much stuff that has changed over the past 10 years that it continues to evolve. Managing this change is difficult in itself. The impact it has on people is something I think that a lot of companies may not be focusing on enough. And that's something that I think is going to be very critically important. Because it's very easy to say, hey, look, there's these new tools. How can we use these to reduce costs, to improve profits, to learn more, to invent better, right? To do all these great things that the AI tools that are out there can do. But how do we make sure we don't marginalize the people or lose some of the innate value that we get out of our people? And in the end, I think what we're going to see with all the processes and tools with this technology, we are going to do what we've always done, which is come back to the value of people, and the people are going to make the difference, and they're going to make those companies how special they're going to be. It isn't going to be the tools, it's going to be how the people use those tools and the ingenuity that comes from the people. So, my big concern with every organization managing this change is how well do you manage the impact on people and the impact of people within your organization? And I think that's going to be the key to success.
Yep, I
Yeah,
can
I'll
see that.
piggyback on that a little bit, in terms of, a lot of the push you think about the AI front of look of efficiency, right? So there's that cry for efficiency, do things faster, do things
Mm,
cheaper, do things that are out over there. And you know, there's a push around that it also opens up ideas for more creativity, more ways of looking at things that are out there, and how do we push. And I do think that you're right onto something there, Vivek. I think that there's going to be backlash of wanting more human contact in some way of the midst of all of this.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be an element and weaved into kind of what you're saying that I agree with you on. I think there's going to be it's that natural reaction to those things that are out there of needs that'll be a back effect of what's going on there. And I think that that'll be something a big need for organizations.
Yeah. And just quoting somebody and loosely quoting Neil deGrasse Tyson, he had a quote about AI that I thought was really fantastic. He said, in a couple of years, we're not going to know what's real and what isn't, right?
Yeah.
AI, and if you look at AI right now, it's advancing so fast. It's a lot of truth to what he said. He said, and when that happens, people are going to go outside and they're going to start talking to their neighbors again. And that'll be a good thing. That'll be a good outcome. He very well may be right. But that focus on being able to talk to each other and understand and really grow, I think that's gonna be something that's going to be very important in the next several years. So
That would be a pendulum swing. Sort of the classic view of the younger generations that grew up with smartphones,
mm,
that they want to text and their interpersonal skills talking to people have atrophied as a result, and they don't really want to do this. But I see that, but I also reject it because I think it's part of
mm,
human nature is to connect with humans on a human basis. I think they just do it in a little different way, but it doesn't change the fact that they want the same things and need the same things that any humans have all along. So I like that people centric aspect of things. You mentioned Tyson's view. Um, I heard recently Elon Musk's view. He said that 80% chance that we have this new golden age of prosperity that would not never have been possible, where there's we might be just eradicate poverty that doesn't exist anywhere. He
amazing.
says he thinks that's about 80% chance of that. The bad
Mm.
news, the other 20%, we go into the dystopian AI overlord nightmare things.
Yeah, yeah.
So he thinks that's a 20% chance, which I think is pretty darn high. That's pretty dangerous. So in other words, so what I take from that is we do need to be careful. And what we really need is we need people to be better people. We
Yeah,
need people
yeah.
to be the best versions of themselves. What do we mean by that? We need them to elevate, to become more virtuous, right? We need more courage, more honesty, more authenticity of who you actually are, less political games and jockeying for position and trying to get over on people and not caring about what happens to another person or projecting your values onto somebody else as though you are in charge of them. Those sorts of traps that we as human beings all fall into. This is not putting us or anybody else above anybody else. We're all subject to those problems. And, as got 63 years is what I've been on this planet right now, and I feel like I'm just starting to maybe get a little bit of my bearings here, like a little bit here. It's an overwhelming thing, life, and that's why the classic, you know, what's the you can look at any of the tropes, right? Life is short, brutish, and huh, well, I'm trying to remember the one thing I was trying to reach there, but there's so many of them, like where the Buddhist life is sorrow, life is suffering, and there's truth in that, right? Because we have pain because we are works in progress. We are to get better tomorrow than we are today. That's kind of the point. So anything that is ego based that gets in our way, that holds us back on the micro or the macro. And so whether it's the AI overlord coming in, or it's just you wanting to be a better husband or be a better father or be a better wife or a mother or sister or brother or coworker or boss, whatever transactional role, um, you'll probably cry if you knew how much better you could be than you are right now. So our view is to lock arms with each other, accept where we are at the moment. We meet people, each other where we are, because anything else is stupid. right? Right. Anything else is a waste of energy at the very minimum.
Right.
So we lock arms. We endeavor to see each other, respect each other, meaning that we see the spark, we see the uniqueness, we see the thing that you are here to do, and we're here to let that unfold. And we think that's basically something that, um, if you can systematize it and scale it, you can change organizations. And if we can change organizations, we can change the world.
Very well said. Very well said.
Go ahead, Tom.
All right. Well, I think that does it, right, guys? Anything else?
No, no.
No.
Look forward to tomorrow. So yeah.
All right. Hey, thanks, Greg. Thanks, Vivek. That was a wonderful discussion. I love getting the praise I got, and I'm sure you guys like the same thing. And I just got to tell you guys that don't know us personally that that's not just sunshine and smoke. That's you hopefully could tell that that's heartfelt, and it's something that I feel very blessed to be able to be in an organization with people I respect so highly like that. And in the beginning, it's a little easier, right? If you've gone in entrepreneurial, if you've been in partnerships, or you start a new job or something like that. In the beginning, it's all sunshine and roses, right? And then things happen. And then maybe it doesn't stay all sunshine and roses. But what we really want is for things to not only start well, but actually get better over time. And that sustainability is what Vivek was talking about. And what we're trying to do with the mentor machine is create systems that allow people to not only grow closer and more connected, but also deepen, because everybody is actually growing as a person and getting a little bit better as a person. So that is very healthy for relationships. And so we're talking about business, we're talking about bottom line and engagement and turnover and profitability and all the metrics that we care about in shared organizations. But the metrics that I think really matter the most are the human metrics of happiness, and specifically, as we talked about, Alvea, which is that feeling of deep fulfilling of fulfillment, of really manifesting your gifts in this world to the benefit of other people. And when you do that, it feels great. And when you don't do that, it doesn't feel so good. And so we want to make more of that in the world. And we think that if you follow some sort of system, some sort of plan that's aligned with how humans actually are, and we have the discipline and the accountability and the help we need to keep at it, we think that's the best path. So thank you for listening today. And if it's interesting at all to you, please check out the eyeofpower.com. It's, as I speak, it's still under construction, but it's going to be out in the very near future. So bookmark it and listen and keep it in mind. Check us out, and you can check out our white papers that are coming and our little self-assessments that are going to be available there, and just kind of come into the world a little bit of making more Alvea in the world. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you again on the Eye of Power. This has been the Eye of Power podcast with Tom Dardick. I'd like to thank you for listening. I'd also like to thank my brother, Scott Dardick, for the music and his music production. If you'd like to reach me, simply email Tom at dardickcommunications.com